She worked in community services. Her main kind of interests were environmental sustainability. She rode a bicycle.
Helena was recently widowed. They didn't have any children, and she was deep in grief and just starting to come out of that process when she responded to an ad in the newspaper for a psychology experiment.
We came up with a character who was a professional lawyer, a little bit dissatisfied with just the generalities of his existence. He had a wife, kids.
What sort of a person might agree to participate in one of those studies? So it was an interesting way to start, effectively without a character, thinking about the motivation for a person who might approach a social study of that kind.
So it was kind of going, all right, well, why would my character respond to that? And it was this thing in my character of wanting to get back out there after possibly having left work and, you know, trying to find something for herself again.
And we gradually put him together a very basic outline of this person who's working in a cafe quite long hours, who has a lot of responsibilities. He has a marriage and he has a son. And
in terms of her ethics and what she believes in, it's partly about, you know, well, what do I want for my children?
David, he struggles to stand up or to stand up for himself or to make that decision because he's unsure as to how that other person might react or if it's the right thing to do or not.
So I played the learner in Shock Room, who is an accomplice of the experimenter and draws the short straw and is then strapped to the shock machine.
I played the experimenter, who was the character which Milgram created, who pushed the subjects to see how far they would go.
Stanley Milgram was trying to understand one of the most disturbing phenomena of our time, the phenomenon of genocide.
Milgram captures profound questions about humanity and human nature, and there are questions about when do we do good things and when do we do bad things, and asks us, what would I do in this situation?
Who am I? I'm David. I'm this. I'm a music teacher. I know this about myself. I know this. I know what I would do and I know what I wouldn't do as David. And then from nowhere, you hear camera set, rolling, action, and I'm just forwarded down this long, not long, but dark corridor, and all of a sudden it's on.
It was a bit, I really have to be on my mettle here.
You kind of get in the car and then you're off.
But then once you commit to that, then it's great because it's like I don't know where I'm going, but I'm discovering who I am.
So there is this sort of thing where you're focusing on the task, not really thinking about the consequences of the task, even though you know what they are.
Am I actually hurting this other human being in there? And that was a definite consideration.
You even go through this process where you think, well, they must have a point where they'll pull the pin if something happens.
The intensity of the cry of pain, all of these things have, to our mind, a huge amount of influence.
I think the big turning point for me was when he stopped responding.
And then you're starting to fight with yourself about whether or not you're going to be obedient, I guess.